I'm Amber, and I've always been the other daughter, the one who is acknowledged last, if at all for that matter. Although I've been coming up with more and more reasons to avoid them recently, I nevertheless drag myself to my folks' place every Saturday for our customary family meal. It was the same today. After parking my automobile in front of their modest suburban house, I inhaled deeply before entering. My older sister Lisa was already there, as anticipated, with her husband Tom standing next to her as their children, Jack and Emma, raced around the living room. My mom remarked, "Amber, you finally made it," as she was fiddling with the floral arrangement. "No embrace. Not really welcome." "Hi, Mom." "Dad." I gave my dad a nod while he was occupied discussing a sporting event with Tom. "Did you hear about Lisa's parent-teacher conference?" Mom went into sister worship mode right away. The teacher said Emma is reading 2 grade levels above her age, and Jack's soccer coach thinks he could make the competitive team next year. Like a sponge, Lisa absorbed the attention with a smile. "Well, I've been using those special reading cards with Emma every night, and I drive Jack to extra practice 3 times a week." I sat down at the table in silence, my presence hardly noticeable. Nobody inquired about my life, work, or week. They never do. The fact that I concluded a significant project at work 3 months ago that prevented our largest client from going bankrupt was something they were unaware of and never bothered to inquire about. I was given a promotion to senior project manager, a bonus of $50,000, and a pay raise that would have made Tom's large salary seem insignificant. Lisa remarked, "Pass the potatoes, Amber," while glaring at me. "Poor Amber," remarked the one. "Still unmarried. Renting is still ongoing. Still a nobody." I took a drink of wine, another secret of mine, and handed the potatoes. In order to find an apartment to purchase, I approached my friend Rachel, a real estate agent, for assistance. With my new job and the money I had saved for a down payment, I would have no trouble getting a mortgage. Why inform them, though? Either they would appear shocked that I could afford it, which would be much worse, or they would somehow make it about Lisa. The remainder of the meal went by in the same manner, more raving about Lisa, more discussion about Tom's work, and more tales of the ideal kids. I remained silent, allowing their remarks to pass me by without any effect. I had long since ceased caring what others thought. Rachel contacted me a month after that supper to share the good news that she had discovered the ideal apartment, a corner apartment with 2 bedrooms, and I visited that evening and fell in love right away with a modern kitchen and balcony in a developing area. "This is it, Rachel," I murmured, tracing the marble countertop with my palm. "I want to make an offer." I signed the mortgage documents 2 weeks later. I had a house now. It was an amazing sense of triumph, pride, and liberation. I considered informing my family, but I chose to hold off until the next Saturday meal. For once, I would like to convey some positive news. When Saturday rolled around, I drove to my parents' house, my news burning in my chest. But when I walked in, something was different. There was an unusual buzz of excitement in the air. Lisa's kids were bouncing around more than usual, and my parents were beaming. "What's going on?" I asked, hanging up my jacket. Mom and Dad exchanged gleeful looks. "We've made a decision," Dad announced. "We're all going on a family vacation to Hawaii. You can come, right?" I thought about it. I hadn't taken a vacation in 2 years, and my new position had just started. No major projects were on the horizon for a few weeks. "Yeah, I can make it work," I said. Mom's face instantly transformed into a smile. "Wonderful. The whole family together in Hawaii. It'll be perfect." Her reaction caught me off guard. She seemed genuinely happy that I was coming along. It was a nice change, and for a moment I allowed myself to feel included. "We leave in 2 weeks," Dad explained. "We've been planning this for a while, but wanted to make sure everyone could go before we told you." I sat down, my own news temporarily forgotten. A family vacation could be nice, I thought. Maybe things could be different away from our usual routines. Maybe they'd see me differently. Dinner proceeded with everyone talking about Hawaii, what to pack, places to visit, activities to try. For once, I wasn't completely ignored, though most questions directed at me were practical rather than personal. "Amber, do you have enough vacation days?" Dad asked. "Yes, I can take 2 weeks," I said. I decided to keep my apartment news for after the vacation. Let Hawaii be the focus for now. My new home would still be there when we got back. The following Saturday, I arrived at my parents' house for dinner, expecting more excited chatter about our upcoming Hawaii trip. Instead, I found Lisa sitting at the table looking miserable, her eyes puffy from crying. The kids were unusually quiet, coloring at the coffee table. "What happened?" I asked, setting down my purse. Mom and Dad exchanged worried glances. Lisa sniffled dramatically before answering. "Tom and I had a huge fight," she said, her voice cracking. "He refuses to pay for my trip to Hawaii. He says I'm not so tired from sitting at home, doing nothing, and don't deserve a vacation." I bit my tongue to stop myself from pointing out that Lisa actually didn't do much around the house. Tom had hired a maid last year because Lisa claimed housework gave her migraines. "So, you're not coming to Hawaii?" I asked. Lisa shook her head sadly. "Not unless Tom changes his mind, which he won't," HEK said, being so stubborn. "It's okay," Dad patted Mom's hand. "We'll plan another family trip later in the year. This won't be our only chance." The rest of the dinner was somber, with everyone consoling Lisa about her controlling husband. I kept quiet, feeling a strange mix of sympathy and irritation. On one hand, Tom shouldn't unilaterally decide how family money gets spent. On the other hand, I knew Lisa well enough to guess there was more to this story. Over the next week, I took care of my vacation preparations. I requested 2 weeks off work, which my boss approved immediately, grateful for my recent project success. I packed my suitcase, made arrangements for my mail, and mentally prepared for 10 days with my parents, without Lisa as a buffer. The day before our departure, Mom called to confirm our plans. "We've booked 2 rooms," she said. "One for your father and me, and a single for you. We got standard rooms. Nothing fancy, but they'll be comfortable." "Sounds perfect," I said, secretly relieved we weren't sharing a room. "I'll meet you at the airport tomorrow morning." After hanging up, I looked around my nearly empty old apartment. Most of my things were already moved to my new place, but I kept enough here to maintain appearances until after the vacation. I still hadn't told my family about buying an apartment. I decided to surprise them after we returned from Hawaii. The next morning, I met my parents at the airport. We checked in, boarded the flight, and 5 hours later, we were landing in Honolulu. The air was warm and fragrant when we stepped off the plane. Despite my reservations about spending so much time with my parents, I felt a wave of excitement. Our hotel was about 20 minutes from the airport, a mid-range place with a decent-sized pool and beach access. During check-in, I chatted with the receptionist, a friendly woman named Kai. "We're fully booked for the standard rooms," she told me. "Very lucky you made reservations when you did. We only have our luxury penthouses available now, and those are quite a bit more expensive." I nodded, taking the key card she handed me. "Thanks for the information." My room was simple but clean, with a queen bed, small balcony, and a bathroom with a shower. After unpacking, I changed into shorts and a t-shirt and met my parents by the pool for a drink. We spent that day and the next exploring the hotel grounds, swimming in the ocean, and adjusting to the time difference. It was actually pleasant. My parents were more relaxed here, less focused on comparing me to Lisa, and I found myself enjoying their company more than I had in years. But on our 3rd day in Hawaii, everything changed. I was applying sunscreen in my room, preparing for a morning at the beach, when there was a loud knock on my door. When I opened it, I found my parents standing there with worried expressions. Behind them stood Lisa, looking frazzled, with Jack clutching her hands. "Lisa," I said, stunned, "what are you doing here?" Lisa collapsed dramatically onto my bed. "Tom and I had another huge fight. I couldn't stay in that house another minute, so I took some money from his wallet and bought tickets for me and the kids." "You stole money from Tom?" I asked, unable to hide my shock. Lisa glared at me. "It's our money. Even if he controls it all, I deserve this vacation, and so do the kids." Mom nodded supportively. "Of course you did, sweetheart, but where are you staying?" I asked, looking at their luggage. "Did you book a room?" Lisa and my parents exchanged glances. "That's the problem," Lisa said, her voice suddenly small. "I had enough for the flights, but not for a hotel room." I thought maybe. The realization of what was happening hit me like a bucket of cold water. I remembered what Kai had told me at check-in. "All the standard rooms are booked. There's nothing available except the expensive penthouses." "Exactly," Dad said, now looking directly at me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. The room fell silent. Everyone was staring at me with expectant expressions. Finally, Mom broke the silence. "Amber, you need to pack your things." "What?" I asked, certain I'd misheard. "Pack your things," she repeated firmly. "Lisa and the children need your room." I looked at their faces. Mom's determined, Dad's expectant, Lisa's entitled, and felt a surge of anger. "Where exactly am I supposed to go?" I asked, crossing my arms. Dad shrugged. "You could find another hotel or fly home early if you can't find anything." "Lisa deserves this vacation more than you do," Mom added, as if that settled everything. "She's been through so much with Tom." I stared at them in disbelief. "Are you serious right now? You want me to give up my room, that I've already paid for and am currently staying in, so Lisa can have it, after she stole money and showed up unannounced?" "That's enough." Mom's voice was sharp. "This isn't up for discussion." And then, to my absolute shock, she walked over to my closet, grabbed my suitcase, and began throwing my clothes into it. "Mom, stop it," I yelled, moving to take the suitcase from her, but she ignored me, continuing to toss my belongings haphazardly into the bag. When it was full, she zipped it shut and placed it in the hallway outside my room. "There," she said, "now Lisa and the children can settle in." I stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Lisa was already directing the kids to put their backpacks on the bed, my bed. Dad was moving my toiletries from the bathroom counter into a plastic bag. I could have fought back. I could have called the front desk and had them removed, since the room was in my name. I could have created a scene that would have been talked about by hotel staff for years to come. But in that moment, looking at these people who were supposed to be my family, I felt something inside me break, and then reform into something harder, clearer. Without a word, I picked up my purse, turned, and walked out, leaving my suitcase in the hallway behind me. I could hear my parents and Lisa already discussing sleeping arrangements. My first instinct had been to book the next flight home. But as I approached the front desk, a better idea formed in my mind. I suddenly remembered the luxurious penthouses Kai had mentioned. Kai looked up as I approached, her friendly smile faltering when she saw my expression. "Miss Wilson, is everything all right?" she asked. "Not really," I said honestly, "but I'm about to fix that. You mentioned you have penthouses available." Her eyes widened slightly. "Yes, we do, but they're significantly more expensive than standard rooms." "How much more expensive?" She quoted a figure that would have made me faint 2 years ago. Now I didn't even blink. "I'll take one," I said. "Your best one, please." I followed a bellhop who had retrieved my suitcase from a hallway outside my old room. We took a private elevator to the top floor, and when he opened the door to my new accommodations, I couldn't help but gasp. The penthouse was stunning, spacious, elegantly decorated, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the ocean. The living area flowed into a dining space and fully equipped kitchen. Beyond that was a massive bedroom with the biggest bed I'd ever seen. I opened a complimentary bottle of champagne, poured myself a glass, and stepped out onto the terrace. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Leaning against the railing, I toasted to myself. "To knowing your worth," I said aloud, then took a long sip. That night I slept better than I had in years, sprawled across a king-sized bed with sheets that felt like clouds. In the morning, I woke to a gentle knock, room service delivering a complimentary breakfast. After eating on my terrace, I decided to head down to the beach. As I crossed the lobby, I spotted my parents and Lisa with the kids near the entrance. They were heading out, presumably to find a cheap restaurant for breakfast since the hotel's was too expensive. Lisa spotted me first. "Amber." "There you are." She waved as if we were just ordinary family members running into each other on vacation. I approached them slowly, keeping my expression neutral. "So, my mom said with a smug smile, where did you end up sleeping last night? Did you find another hotel?" Dad at least had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable. Before I could answer, Kai appeared beside me. "Miss Wilson, I wanted to confirm your cabana reservation for this afternoon. As our VIP guest, we've reserved the best location on the beach for you." My family's expressions shifted from smug to confused. "VIP guest?" my mom repeated. Kai smiled brightly. "Yes, Miss Wilson is staying in our premier penthouse suite. As such, she has access to all our exclusive amenities, including private dining in our gourmet restaurant. Would your family be joining you for lunch today, Miss Wilson?" The looks on their faces were priceless. Lisa's jaw actually dropped. Mom's eyes bulged. Dad looked like he'd swallowed something sour. "No," I said calmly. "They won't be joining me." "Very well. Enjoy your breakfast at Rico," Kai said to my family, referring to the cheap diner down the street that tourists on a budget frequented. With a casual wave to my stunned family, I continued toward the beach, feeling lighter than I had in years. I spent that day enjoying every luxury the hotel had to offer. I had a massage at the spa, lounged in my private cabana where attentive staff brought me tropical drinks, and swam in the ocean when the sun became too warm. Not once did I think about my family. That evening I returned to my penthouse to shower and change for dinner. The hotel's gourmet restaurant had a dress code, and I'd packed a simple black dress that would be perfect. I was just putting on earrings when there was a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw my family, all of them, including the kids, standing in the hallway with their luggage. I seriously considered pretending I wasn't there, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door but blocked the entrance with my body. "What do you want?" I asked. Without waiting for an invitation, my mother pushed past me into the penthouse, followed by my father, Lisa, and the children. They stood in my living room, gawking at the luxurious surroundings. Mom snapped out of her daze first. "Amber, we've decided that we're going to stay here with you for the rest of the vacation." I blinked, certain I'd misheard. "Excuse me." "We've checked out of our rooms," Dad explained, as if this were a perfectly reasonable thing to do. "Lisa and the kids checked out of your old room, too. We'll all stay here." Lisa added, already eyeing the massive sofa like she was measuring it for sleeping space, "There's more than enough room." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "No," I said when I could speak again. "You are not staying here. This is my room that I'm paying for, and you're not welcome in it." Lisa stepped forward, her voice taking on the wheedling tone she used when she wanted something. "Come on, Amber. Don't be selfish. Look at all this space. We're family." "Family?" I repeated, feeling my anger rising. Family doesn't kick someone out of their room. Family doesn't make someone else's vacation their problem. Family asks about your life and celebrates your successes. "This is ridiculous," Lisa snapped. We already checked out of our rooms. That sounds like a you problem, I said, echoing Dad's words from before. Now, please leave before I call security. They didn't move. Instead, they started arguing loudly, all talking over each other. Lisa's voice rose above the others. You're being incredibly selfish right now. I have children. I picked up the hotel phone. I'm calling the front desk. That shut them up temporarily. I asked for security to come to my room to escort some unwanted guests out. When I hung up, the look on my family's faces shifted from entitled anger to panic. You can't be serious, Mom said. Completely serious, I replied. But where will we go? Lisa asked, her voice cracking. All the cheap rooms are booked. There was a knock at the door. Hotel security had arrived quickly. I opened it to find Kai with 2 security officers. Is there a problem, Miss Wilson? She asked. Yes, these people need to leave my room and they're refusing. Kai turned to my family. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to come with me. Wait, Mom said desperately. Can't we get our old rooms back? Kai shook her head sympathetically. I'm sorry, but as I explained when you checked out, those rooms have already been reassigned to new guests. They're occupied now. As they followed Kai out, my mother turned back to me. This isn't over, Amber. I closed the door behind them without responding and walked out to my terrace. My phone buzzed with text messages from my mother. We're at the Palm Budget Motel. 1 room for all 5 of us. The bathroom smells like mold. I hope you're happy. And from Lisa. The kids are crying because their beds are dirty. How can you do this to them? I turned off my phone and set it aside. Their attempts to manipulate me might have worked once, but not anymore. I was only responsible for myself, and for the first time in my life, I was putting myself first. The rest of my Hawaiian vacation was blissful. I deliberately kept my phone turned off most of the time, only checking it once a day to make sure there wasn't an actual emergency. The angry messages from my family continued for 2 days, then abruptly stopped. I later found out why. A hotel staff member told me they'd checked out of the budget motel and flown back to the mainland early. My mother had left a message for me at the front desk that said only, "We're going home. Hope you're satisfied." I was actually more than satisfied. I spent my remaining days swimming in the ocean, hiking to a waterfall, taking a sunset cruise, and generally doing whatever I pleased, without the weight of family expectations and judgment. I felt like a different person. Lighter, happier, free. As my plane took off, I watched Hawaii grow smaller beneath me, feeling not sad but resolute. This vacation had been a turning point. There was no going back to the way things were before. When I landed, I took a taxi directly to my new apartment. It was still sparsely furnished, but it was mine. I walked from room to room, making mental notes of what I still needed to buy. Tomorrow I'd go shopping for a proper dining table, maybe some artwork for the walls. I had time to make this place truly mine. 2 weeks after returning from Hawaii, I was settled into my new apartment and back at work. With the confidence I'd earned from confronting my family, I'd poured myself into a new project, speaking out more in meetings and taking on more responsibility. One day my phone rang. The number belonged to my mother. I was a little nervous as I answered the phone, even though I had been anticipating this call. "Hello." "Amber, where are you?" Mom's tone was accusatory. "We went to your old apartment, and they said you don't live there anymore." "That's right," I responded coolly. "I moved." A pause ensued. Then my mom spoke once more, her voice suddenly charmingly inquisitive. "You relocated. To where? Please let us know your new address. We should all discuss and get back together, in my opinion." Lisa's anxious murmuring was audible in the background. Saying, "I bought my own place. With a mortgage." Muffled exclamations were heard on the other end after a startled stillness. "You bought an apartment?" Mom said at last. "When?" approximately 2 months ago. In addition to a bonus for finishing a big project, I received a promotion and a sizable rise last year. Why didn't you tell us? Despite the pain in her voice, I didn't find it particularly moving. Would I have told you when? All those family meals when you chatted about Lisa and nothing else. Or perhaps when I was on vacation and you ejected me from my own hotel room. One more quiet moment. More time this time. We ought to get together and discuss this, Mom finally remarked. Family members shouldn't be separated. Which address do you have? We'll visit this weekend. I drew in my breath. No, Mum, I do not wish to meet at this time, and I will not give you my address. You guys need to give me some room. Her tone sharpened. Amber, we're your family. You cannot simply shut us off. Yes, I can, and I'm going to do just that until you all realize why your actions have been unacceptable. With my pulse racing, but my resolve unwavering, I hung up before she could reply. My family made every effort to get back in touch throughout the next months. They texted, phoned, and even emailed my workplace. They were furious at times, pleased sometimes, occasionally deceptive. I didn't thoroughly read most of them before deleting them. I was informed by mutual acquaintances that Lisa and Tom were experiencing significant marital issues. They were on the verge of getting a divorce since the Hawaii event had been the final straw. Although I had a fleeting moment of pity for the children, I quickly reminded myself that I had no control over Lisa's decisions. How about me? I was doing quite well. It was my second promotion. A hiking group had introduced me to new people. I had even begun dating a person I had met at a business convention. Now my flat had everything I needed, even the decor. I found refuge there. There were moments when I considered making amends with my family. Perhaps one day I might, if they were sincere in their regret and determined to change. Nevertheless, I wasn't holding my breath, and waiting for things to happen wasn't the way I was living my life.